Okay, now once you actually get your project submitted into ePlans for review, you're probably going to have a lot of questions like, what's the status of my review? What reviews have been completed? What reviews have not completed? What corrections do I have at this time? So the way that you're going to go about doing that, once you open up Project Docs and you're on your active project screen as shown here, you're going to want to click on your project number. And then here on this screen, right next to project info is the reports tabs. Now, the most four important sections to you on this are these last four buttons: project flow change marks, project flow checklist items, project flow department review, and project flow routing slip. So let's say you wanted to take a look and see what reviews have been assigned to your project, what reviews have been completed, what reviews are still outstanding. So you would come here and click on the magnifying glass. You would get this pop-up dialog box. You click here to select your project number and hit View Report. Now what you will see here is first is the cycle number. Sometimes projects go through more than one cycle. This project is in cycle 1. If there corrections are needed and sent back to you in return, there would be cycle 2, and then 3, 4, and so on. So you click the plus next to your cycle, and then you can see here under these are the department reviews that were assigned to this project. These are the reviewers. This is the reviewer's email, and then the status of that review. Like revisions required, that means that the customer that they're going to be requesting corrections from you. Here's one that you will see, it says not required. That means that reviewer determined that this project was not did not require his review, but it was routed to him because someone thought maybe it needed electrical. So he's saying that it does not need an electrical. And then you can see here the plumbing and DPW, they approved it, and then pre-screen health, they said it's not required. And sometimes the reviewers will pick comments over here, just like health said that this kind of facility is not required, and they were saying what kind of facility it is, so it's one that's covered that they don't do. So you also want to make sure you look here for just comments from the reviewers. Now, if you want to know exactly what corrections you have, corrections are found in one or two places. They're either called change marks. That's where some reviewers, they'll actually mark up your drawings with corrections, which are called change marks, or checklist items. This is the most dominant one is checklist items, because before electronic plan review, that's pretty much all we had. They would give you a checklist items of your reviews. So you would click here on the magnifying glass, click this down arrow here under workflow instance, select your project, and hit View Report. Now when this report comes up, what you will see is a list of the corrections and the department for those corrections. So you can see here on the department, there was a correction from an info tag. There's some structural corrections, some plan review zoning corrections, some mechanical corrections, and some fire corrections. Typically here under the reviewer comment, that's the correction. And they'll, pretty much they'll either cite code sections or whatever and tell you what corrections they are. Now, when you get ready to send this back, you also have a chance here under the applicant response to make comments about these corrections. Like sometimes the reviewers will miss where some information might be. Well, then you can make that reviewer aware, I see the correction here, this is what you're saying, but if you want to look on this such a page, you should find that information is already supplied. Or if it's not supplied, then maybe when you do supply it, maybe it requires you to submit an additional sheet. Then under the reviewer comments, you would say something like, complied with correction, please see sheet such and such. And these are typically what we call checklist items. Now, anytime that you want to print these out and have a copy of them, maybe you want to give them to someone else, you can click this little save icon here, drop down. And these are the kind of formats that you could export this information out into. You can do, XML, CVS, PDF, Excel, TIFF, Word. PDF and Word work the best, and I think of all of them, Word does the best job of formatting these, especially if you want to give them to someone else. So that's where you will find corrections under project flow change marks and project flow checklist items. And then the last one here is called the project flow workflow routing slip. Now this one, anytime you want to know the current location and status of a project, you would use this one. as for you select your project and you click view report. And you'll also notice right here, it says 1 of 1. Sometimes these will grow, it'll be multiple pages, and it lets you know what page you're looking at. But you come to here, you can see all the reviews that were done. Not only does it tell you the date that the task was assigned, the date that that particular reviewer accepted it, and the date that that particular reviewer completed it. But you'll always see, until a project is done and completed, you'll always see down here at the last one, like this project had corrections, so it was sent back to the applicant. And right here where it says applicant resubmit task, that tells me that this project has been sent back to the applicant for corrections on this date. The applicant has not accepted it. That means that he has not acknowledged it by clicking on it and saying, I accept this task. And then once he does that, and then when he returns it to us, then that date would be recorded also. And then this project would go into another phase, probably I think it's called applicant resubmit task. So the routing slip is just where you can see where your project is at all times in terms of routing. So when you do have questions like, what's the status of my review? What reviews have been completed? What reviews have not completed? What corrections do I have? That's the process that you want to use. You always want to use ePlans project docs for those questions, because until this review is completed and sent back to a seller, everything happens here in project docs. Thank you.